what I like especially. Like a load of funky man that lack finesse.
Hello everyone. Hi, it's me. Maybe you started listening or how's it's to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, so on and so forth. Well, those things still exist, but now I am streaming into this video podcasting realm.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I just wanted to be more involved in creating my podcast. I wanted people to be able to see what I look like, feel like you're engaging and actually having a conversation with me. So on today's podcast, I actually wanted to dive deep into the state of our economy. Because for a lot of us, and I've looked, a lot of us are Millennials and Gen Z, and we all are experiencing about the same thing right now. The economy is suffocating. It isn't budging. It is most definitely giving us a run for our money. It is. And I'm thinking back to when my parents told me about how they first met, what it was like for them, what they did on their off time, and they're in their between 18 to 29. They're going out, they're clubbing, they're going on trips, they're going out of the country, and little old me, around that same age, I am struggling terribly. And it's not to say I don't work hard, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for you. It's not to say you're not working hard or you're not trying to make as much money as possible. Most of us are probably working 40 hours a week. We're giving our time and our money to the man who doesn't even know our name.
Period.
That's the truth. We can't even enjoy our time. We cash out our PTO when we can. We try to start, side hustles to just make ends meet. But what does the average millennial or Gen Zer want? What do they actually strive for in this economy right now? And I would say for me, I want a fair economy that has an income to match the steadily increasing market. The one they call capitalism. I want to be able to not be house poor. And this is something I didn't learn before buying a house. I didn't even know what that term was until my realtor said it, and I was like, girl, what are you talking about? You're creating up, you're making new words. The shit don't exist. Until I got into my house, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Everyone in the older generations are telling me that this is the best thing you can do for yourself. This is how you get ahead in life. This is your asset. This is what's going to keep you going and jiving and doing X, Y, and Z. And I promise you, it feels like they all ripped me off. It really does. Everything feels like a ripoff to me at this point. How is it that I'm working 40 hours a week? I'll disclose to you. I make roughly around, $60,000 to $90,000 a year.
Stop the cap.
Exactly what it is, but I'm telling you right now, it's hard. Most definitely. And it just feels like nothing's getting better. So I wanted to bring this topic up to you to see if maybe we have some similarities or maybe we have some differences. I'm never opposed to good debate. And baby, trust me, I'm a conversationalist. So I'm gonna ask them questions. Just be prepared. So let's dive into this source that I pulled up here. On this source, I have here that for Gen Z and millennial adults, now 18 to 44, the highest point of their stress is occurring even younger, averaging at 25 years old. That's like a quarter of your life, and you're already stressing about things that you probably can't even change. I mean, I'm gonna be 26 this year, and I can tell you, I wasn't even thinking about having a midlife crisis. Not at no 25 years old. So why am I stressing about this, that, and the third? And I should be living. I can't even do that because I have to make sure that everything is lined up a certain way just so that I can barely make it. It's not making sense. Looking at how they got here through their current stress levels, the average person is at half of their stress capacity. Yet 42% are feeling even more stressed than this, with Gen Z and Millennials feeling this more heavily than respondents belonging to Gen X or older. So we're looking at our generation, Gen Z to Millennials, at 51%, compared to the Gen X and older at 37%. So we're looking at half and a quarter. You can wiggle your way, say, it's probably not that bad. Maybe if they did, they stop spending their money on Starbucks and buying Chipotle. Maybe if they weren't going to McDonald's every day. Babe, I can tell you right now, saving an extra $5 every 2 to 3 days isn't gonna do anything extra for you. Maybe it will fill up your gas tank, or maybe it'll contribute to your gas tank, but it's not going to do what you think it's gonna do. I'm still gonna struggle regardless. So when asked what's currently causing their burnouts, finances were the most commonly ranked at a top factor of 30%, with politics following afterward at 26%, work at 25%, and their physical health at 23% were also significant sources of major worries for respondents. Yeah, something ain't working. Something just ain't right. All kinds of relationships are weighing on those surveys, with 1 in 6 of those who named their love life or their family as stressors putting it in the top spot of 18%. I mean, at that point, that's just regular life. That is day-to-day life. My mom calls me about X, Y, and Z, and it's not stressful, but if I had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, it would probably be a 1, and that falls at 10%. So, we'll keep it going. So, Yosef, I can't say his first name, a licensed clinical psychologist, mental health researcher, and writer at Mentlic. I'm telling you, they're throwing words at me that I just cannot pronounce. I am so sorry. Provided insight into why stress is peaking earlier than ever. As a psychologist, I've worked with clients across different generations, and I can tell you, stress doesn't look the same for everyone. Yosef said, "It's fascinating and a little concerning to see how younger Americans are experiencing peak stress earlier than ever before. I see it in my practice all the time. 20-somethings already feeling completely burnt out, something I never used to see at that age. I often hear from younger clients, why does life feel so overwhelming already? They're not just talking about work stress, they're feeling pressure from every direction, career, finances, relationships, even social media expectations." And I actually just posted something today saying, it was like a little haiku or whatever, saying that your value isn't based on social media posts, it's based on what your heart hosts. And it's because, as anyone could say, comparison is a thief of joy. Comparison is a thief of joy. And the reason I say that is because if you fall into the lines of 18 to 44, you're looking at all the people online who are able to, go out on trips, who are able to spend their money a little bit more freely than you are, and you're wondering, why am I left behind? And now this whole new term called FOMO, fear of missing out, pops into your head, and you're like, I am missing the curve. I am not where I need to be. And that is so far from the truth. This week I was looking at living abroad, and this person was saying that the taxes in other countries are high, but they're well taken care of. Their health insurance is taken care of. They pay their car insurance one time and boom, never have to worry about it again. What if we're at this point where the economy isn't as good, America isn't as strong as we think it is, and the trials and tribulations that we're all experiencing is because we live in a government that is greedy? I mean, let's go back into this source and we'll read a little bit further. Among younger generations, work is the greatest point of concentration, 33%, with finances 27%, and mental health 24% following suit. Gen X responders or respondents, baby boomers, and those belonging to the silent generation said that politics is most concerning, 27%, while their physical health is also an area of worry, 24%. The food that they are feeding us is killing us. It is killing us. It is making us unhealthy. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the growing rates of infertility. I have. We're talking about stress is a contributor for infertility, and if we're talking about all the things that are stressing us out, it seems like we wake up and go to bed worried about the next day. On top of that, our food is also unhealthy. There's nothing in our food that is gonna be like, this is what's gonna make me extra healthy today. No, everything that you consume that comes out of a plastic, a aluminum, any type of packaging is processed and horrible for you. I mean, even the food that you're not even expecting is genetically modified. I mean, they're trying to modify the food so that it's healthier, but it's going backwards, and I could be wrong. Gen Z and millennials are not as concerned with their social life, 12%. Okay, maybe FOMO isn't as bad as you thought. And love life, 14%, while older generations say that the balance of their life and personal growth fall to the wayside for them, 13%. I mean, at that point, they do say the older you get, the stubborn you get. And I don't think they're, like they said, personal growth falls to the wayside. They're entering into a period of their life where they feel they have peaked. And I mean, if I was 60, 70, 80 years old, I would not be too concerned about personal growth either. Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to make sure my camera keeps lagging, so if you see me cutting in and out, it's because my camera's lagging. I am currently in the process of getting better Wi-Fi, so bear with me. Hopefully the next video is a lot better than this one, but I will not lie to you, this Wi-Fi is complete ass. I have T-Mobile, 5G, do not get it. Get Xfinity or AT&T, get something that's going to be worth the money. I mean, it might be cheaper, but it is not better. Okay. So, a third of Americans are gearing up for what they anticipate being their most stressful year yet, predicting that 2025 will be worse than the past 3 years. It's gonna get worse. I talk to people who are older than me every day, all day, and they're like, don't get old. I'm like, it gets worse than this? I'm like, at this point, I don't even want to get older. I want to be Peter Pan. I want to be on a different planet at this point. When Mars opens up for residents, I'd probably be on that first flight. I will save up my yearly spending. I'd rather be homeless on Mars than be homeless on Earth. Sorry. Like I said, this is Convos and Chaos. I never said it was going to be sweet. When it comes to how stress will evolve with the years, 83% of those surveyed admit that entering adulthood today is more challenging than it has been in the past decade or so. That's me paraphrasing, because now I'm looking at you when I say that if you are now entering adulthood, I sympathize with you. I know it is very hard. It is not easy. You are now navigating a world that is ever-changing. And no one is going to give you lax because it's changing. I remember when I went from my teens to adult teenager, 18, 19, I had no idea that entering adulthood would be so complicated. I remember when I graduated high school, that summer I was crying every single day. because I'm like, what's the next thing? What's the next step? Where do I go? What do I do? Do I worry about my career? Do I worry about, going to school? If I go to school, is it going to cause me debt? How much debt am I going to have? I mean, I'm not even guaranteed a job after I finish college. How much money am I going to be able to pay? They're talking about it takes you 6 months to get before you have to pay your FAFSA. But I mean, when I lost a job, it took me almost 3 to 6 months to even find a new one. I mean, granted, it didn't take me that long, but if you're living in a high populated city, I mean, it very well might take you that long. It's still real for many Americans. After you finish school, you have 6 months to start paying FAFSA. There is no guarantee that you're gonna even have a job after you get out of school. That's saying that you're in a career that is high in demand. But if it's high in demand, what else are you sacrificing? I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not trying to give you any more stress and worries, my love. 7 in 10 agree that it'll only get more challenging to be an adult within the next 10 years, 72%, with older Americans recognizing that more than the younger generations. With older Americans recognizing this more than the younger generations. And that's saying something, because the older generations have had time to recognize these patterns, these ups and the downs. And a lot of people who were alive during the Great Depression are alive and well. I still. Okay? So here I have the tickety-tockety for you.
Millennials, another recession. Y'all know the drill. Been through this before. You know what? I think having a one-bedroom apartment is too much space. I don't want to own a home anyways. I enjoy having a landlord. It's like having a friend who comes and robs you every month. Look, we've been through this before. At least we went and lived through the 90s, okay? Because we got the memories of having, like, McDonald's have colors still. Pizza Hut back then was still a hut. I'm looking at these Gen Z kids complain and be nervous, and I'm like, first time kid, look, y'all gonna be okay. Y'all already vape. You're ahead of the curve. The devil's lettuce is legal. Look, we had to, do some stuff to get it. Look, y'all gonna be fine. We gonna be fine. And when this recession is over, enjoy the few years that you get until the next one comes. Honestly, just give us a Great Depression. Stop teasing us with these recessions, all right? We're tired of making it to the conference finals.
He's right. Go ahead and give me the Great Depression, my love. I mean, they did say the past 3 to 5 years was kind of a silent depression. So what exactly are we missing? I mean, what exactly are we missing? Because it has been getting worse. It's been difficult. It's been challenging. But the thing is it's a constant cycle. But the thing that hasn't been cycling at all is the income that we've had. So I did some research, and I will link all of my resources in the description below, or in the descriptions of the podcast. But from this creator on TikTok, again, I do not remember his name off the top of my head. That's with the silent generation, the boomers, the Gen X's, to how the Millennials and the Gen Z sees it. The good side said that it is good because they had a house that costed them between $600 to $1,500 a month. All their kids are also grown and out the house, but even then, daycare probably wasn't that much. They don't have any student debt. Student debt really does make a difference for a lot of us. On a low end, just expenses throughout the year, like food, maintenance, etc., etc. They're $600 to $1,500 a month. Their low end each year is about $14,000. Their high end is about $36,000. Now, let's talk about us. For houses, if you want to rent, you're looking at $2,500 a month. Or if you buy, it's $3,500 a month. That's a lot of money. You have a child, daycare is looking about $1,500 to $3,000 a month. You have debt, right? You have $500 to $1,000 worth of debt each month. And, you're looking about again, still $600 to $1,500 in the regular expenses throughout the month. So on the low end for us, we're looking at $60,000 a year. Okay. On a high end, you're looking at $108,000 a year, baby. And this doesn't even account for the income the older generation was making to what we're making. So keep that in mind.
Gen Z is splurging on a hot new item, and it's actually really depressing. Forget fancy cars, nice vacations, designer handbags. According to Business Insider, younger generations are splurging on luxury groceries. Seems like that whole millennials could afford a house if they'd stop buying so much avocado toast thing has been repackaged for Gen Z. Neat! And it has not gone over well. Food writer Michael Hayes, for example, angrily called it an attempt to gaslight younger generations into feeling shameful for buying food. And of course, the article made no effort to place Gen Z's grocery spending habits in the context of runaway housing costs, rising inflation, insurmountable student debt loads, a messy job market, which has left many young people feeling like one of Hayes' commenters who said, I can't afford a European summer trip, but I can get the better reusable olive oil. Yeah, you might as well. Saving $2 on a cheaper olive oil, or bottled water, to use Business Insider's example, probably isn't going to make Gen Z any more able to buy a house than skipping avocado toast did for millennials. But younger millennials and Gen Zers aren't splurging on groceries just because they want to anyway. Studies and surveys have shown that they're a lot more careful about what they eat than older generations, turning away from the typical American diet, composed of a staggering 60% processed foods, and focusing on a diet that's not only healthier for themselves, but also the planet. And with the runaway inflation we've seen on groceries since 2020, and corporate greedflation continually jacking prices ever higher even now that inflation itself has slowed, all groceries, let alone healthy ones, have skyrocketed in cost since 2020. Splurging is a very weird way to say being forced to spend more on every morsel of food you buy, including, as Hayes pointed out, the McDonald's dollar menu, which is now more like the $5 menu. And in a world where younger generations may very well likely never be able to afford a home or a vacation, let alone things like healthcare, can you really blame them for splurging on things like organic vegetables? It might be the only luxuries they ever get.
It's funny because we actually did have that conversation where if you stopped going to, let's say, Starbucks, a popular coffee company that you like to drink at, average drink is about $8, and you go there about 3 times a week. That's $24 a month, or $24 a week, right? Multiply that, that's $96 a month. Multiply that again, that's $1,152 a year, almost $1,200. To buy a house that is going to probably have you at the highest end put down $30,000 on a home, that's not going to touch anything. So you need to save $30,000 for a home. We'll divide that. And we'll put 1152. You would be saving for 26 years. If you stopped getting Starbucks today, you would be saving for 26 years. By then, the housing market has already gone up. You're probably paying $8,500 a month for rent. You are probably spending $2,000 plus on just regular amenities. I mean, at that point, you probably need to save enough for another 26 years again. I mean, the thing about this economy is it's just so stifling. It's putting its foot on our neck, and it is telling us you have no other option but to accept this fate. And that's exactly what most of us are doing.
Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live?
I know he kind of answered the question himself in his own video, but I want to highlight one thing he briefly mentioned and talk about it, which is that the American dream is dead. Yes, the traditional American dream, which is like doing better than your parents and being able to provide a lot for your family, is dead, or at least it's changed. Because there are many of us that are well aware that we will never be able to make as much money as our parents did. And I think my mother, who is a boomer and benefited directly from the system in place, said it best when she once said, roughly, that the American dream has changed. It's become very apparent to everyone that in this economy, Gen Z, Millennials, and some Gen Xers, many of us will not be able to do better than our parents. We won't even be able to do as well as our parents. And now the American dream has become just being able to get by, being able to maybe afford a house at some point, maybe have a kid or two if we're lucky enough to make that much money. And a lot of us, myself included, who has now experienced company like financial related layoffs twice so far in the last 2 years since I've entered the job market. You know, those of us who feel like we're constantly in fight or flight about bills and how we're gonna keep making it by, it's making us miserable and feel so hopeless. And yes, I could sit here all day and show you graphs of how like inflation is going up, and while wages are going up, it's just not matching inflation. So it feels like we're all just constantly working and working, and the goalpost just keeps getting moved further and further away from us. And yeah, it has a lot of us extremely stressed and worried and feel like just giving up because we're constantly running a race where the finish line is getting moved further out. And I think it's obvious that we're all just really exhausted by it now. I know I am. I'm constantly hitting a wall with all of this. And a lot of us have to wake up every day blatantly knowing we will never do as well as our parents did. And we just have to try to make it, you know, somewhat close to that. I'm sorry. My dad passed away several years ago on this date, so I'm just thinking about him, and sometimes I feel like he'd be proud of me, but sometimes I feel like he'd be very disappointed. But he was also an extremely intelligent businessman with multiple degrees, so I think he, more than anyone, would really understand what we're all feeling right now.
It was hard to watch, just because when she started crying, I wanted to cry too, because that's how it feels right now. You are trying to make your parents proud. You're trying to make yourself proud. You're trying to get to the goalpost, but every time you get to the goalpost, it keeps getting further and further and further away from you, as if you're never gonna get to that point. And when she brought up the job layoffs, I have met many people who had job layoffs and now they have to use unemployment, or they have to do this or that. And I mean, there's just no security in this country. I mean, I'm so sorry to say it. It just feels like there's no security. There's nothing comforting. There's nothing stable about this economy. There's nothing stable. I wish there was. I wish there was a way for us to figure it all out together. I mean, if we all have to give each other $1 for the next couple of months, will it work? Like,
Help me!
$1 every month or so, like, will that work? Will that be enough for all of us to finally fix it? Will it fix the problem, or will it get worse? I don't know. But my last source to you, and then I'm gonna leave y'all alone, because I know that I've just been on a tangent. I've been ranting. So it says, has income growth between generations of Americans stalled? Or it says, we compared each generation's income at the ages of 36 to 40 with that of the previous generations, because these are prime working years when most people have completed their education, okay? Our research finds that income after taxes and transfers has risen for every generation relative to the previous one, though at a slower rate of Gen X and Millennials. The median household income of 36 to 40-year-olds for silent generation was 34% higher than what the greatest generations. The median income for baby boomers in the age range was 27%. Sorry, my brain just wants to mix up the numbers, but range was 27% higher than that of the silent generation. The income growth rate was less for Generation X, 16%, and for millennials, 18%. The income growth rate was also positive for those in the 25th and 75th percentiles of the income distribution for each generation, with a similar slowdown for the most recent generations. Increase in government transfers have affected patterns in income growth. Over the time, the slowdown in the intergenerational progress was more pronounced for pre-tax income than for income after tax and transfers. Nevertheless, millennials in their late 30s still had pre-tax income that was 14% above those of Generation X. So, again, I feel like they're still trying to make it seem as if we have something to hope for, and we do. There is hope for us, as minuscule as it may seem. I can only hope that we have more to look forward to. I mean, that's the only thing we can do, is to hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I think that concludes this podcast for today. I know I've probably bored you out of your mind, but hey, that's what friends do. You know, sometimes we just want to hear something in the background, you know, have somebody comforting, you know. I would think so. So hopefully humor will save the day. I wanted to remind you that you are resilient, you are strong, and I am so incredibly proud of you because you woke up today. Obviously, you woke up today because you're listening to this. You woke up today, you decided to try, you decided to continue moving forward and doing the best that you can with what you have. I want you to remember to find gratitude in moments of complete chaos. And I want you to find those that are going to uplift you and guide you and give you the best chances possible to continue to maintain hope within your heart. Again, I know the struggles that we are all facing right now. I know that it's kind of dismal. I feel you. I do. So I want you to continue to push forward. I want you to continue to see the greatness that is to come in your life. And I want you to find that voice in your head that tells you all the beautiful, sweet nothings. Seek that voice out. Continue to walk forward towards it. And I want you to hold that voice tight. Okay? Because the only person at the end of the day that is going to love you most in this world is you. So fill your cup as much as possible and tell your bosses, no, you're not working overtime. Love you. Bye.